Can everyone see my screen? So,
Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
okay, just go to Power BI like we did last week. Last week we treated the introduction to Power BI and how you can get how you can access your data set in Power BI. So this week we are moving to Power Query. And last week I talked about going to work on Power Query in Excel. I don't know if anybody tried that out. Did anybody try that one out?
Sorry, I didn't get what you said.
Last week I made reference to Power Query in Excel. That I said you can try out Power Query in Excel. Did anybody go through that route?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you find it interesting?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I love it. And it's easier.
So we'll be doing more of that. So for today's class, the data set that I manipulated this Pokemon data set. So I've saved it is on CSV format. So I'm going to be accessing it in Power BI. I'm going to do the data cleaning in Power Query. The CSV format. This is it. So I'll be clicking on transform data. This is what the interface of Power Query looks like. Worked on the Power Query in Excel. This is exactly how it looks like too. I have access to import, probably if I'm working with two sheets or there are two tables that I have and I want to work on two of them simultaneously, I need the insight from two of them. I can always click on new source. Here, you are seeing where I'm clicking on this new source. I'll click on CSV. I'll come to, let me see, I'll click open. It won't ask me to transform again because we're already in the transform phase, right? So it will just bring out the preview of the page. I'll click OK and it will come right here. So I have two different tables here. This is the Pokemon and this is the Poke. So as much as if I have like 4-5 sheets to work on, sheets in Excel, if you want to import it here, to be seeing it as different tables, right? So if I have like 5 tables to work on, this is a way I'll get to import the 5 tables and I'll work on each and every one of them. So it's one I'm working on. So if I want to delete this, I'll right click it and I'll click on delete. So delete. So I'm left with just this one. So one thing to know is that in Power Query, there is no Control Z. Your Control Z, your Control Y is not working. So any step you're taking, you have to be careful about what you're doing. You can go back, but if you know in Excel or Microsoft Word, you can do Control Z and you feel like, oh, I want that one I just removed. You can do Control Y to get it. Here, there is no Control Z, but there is something you can use that works like Control Z too. But there is no Control Y either. Control Y is the one that you're not getting at all. So let's say you have a step that you made a mistake and you corrected it by doing your Control Z. And you feel like, oh, I want that step back. There's no way you're getting it back. So you have to be very, very sure you want to do undo before you undo your data. Now, these are where you see dial Control Z. Can you guys see my cursor? Please, someone should unmute and just let me.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, this place that you're seeing applied steps. these are the steps you've applied in this data set. So by default, sometimes if you import data in Power BI, in Power Query, it does this first three for you: your data source, your promoted headers, and your changed type. Okay. So I want to go back. I don't want it to do all this for me because there are times you import data and it doesn't do this. So I want us to start everything from scratch. So you get to know what you do when such happens. So I'll remove this changed type. This X here, this is your undo. And any step you're doing, you're taking to clean your data set is reflecting in these applied steps. So I'll just remove this. You see, my connection is not stable. Can you guys hear me? Saying my connection is not stable.
Yes.
Yes,
We
we
can
can
hear
hear.
you.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I've removed the one of change type. What it basically does is the type you have here. Now you are seeing everything here is ABC, 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 ABC. Before I removed it, it has converted this one, the numbers, that has changed the type to number. Now remove this one of promoted headers. You see, you're seeing column 1, column 2. So all your header is on your first row, right? Now this is the source. The source is the only thing that remains there. Now there's a trick in Power BI. I think I should let me start with that. This data set I'm looking at, it has 13 columns. This is your source. This is like your formula bar in Excel, right? So in this source, it's telling me what I have here. In this whole data set, I have 13 columns, right? So the one trick here is that if I open this data set, who is unmuted? Please mute yourself. I'm trying to open the data set in Excel. So if you have the data set and there is an extra column, I have this data set. I want to add an extra column here. So I will insert. Let me call it extra. So I will get to recognize it. I'll write 1, 1, and I'll forward 50. So everything is 1, 1. So I'll just save everything. So now this is 14 columns now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then 4. But in our Power BI, what we have, these are the columns we have on this data set. Me and this thing again today. These are the columns I have on this. Column 1, column 2. This is my source. So the first thing I'll do here, I won't apply that thing now. So I want us to like move 3 or 4 steps. So you know that whenever you change, you update your data, you can always update it in your Power Query instead of deleting and starting afresh. There are some people that they don't know that. So I'll just click here. I'm having column 1, column 2, and these are not my yeah.
That made me not scared of that dog. It does not bite.
I don't get. Are you? Hello? Still on mute. Please, let's be. If you enter the meeting, just try and mute. Sorry about that. So I want to get. This is my data set column headers. They are among the data sets. I want to get to push them up here. So you see this place you have table. Just right click it. You see use first row as header. Click on it. It promotes it. Now you are seeing promoted headers. Now, automatically, it has added the changed type for you. So, initially, we were having ABC here, ABC here. That ABC means is a text type. So I should probably just remove it and we get to change type ourselves. Or I'll just leave it, change type, we'll still come back to it. But if you want to change type, you come and click on if it's ABC you have here, you click. Let me say I want to change this thing to text. I'll just click the ABC back. I want it to be a text. So it's not asking me, the selected, it has an existing step conversion. It's because the step I'm seeing here is changed type. So if you wanted to add it as a new step, if to add change type 1, let's add it as a new step. You see change type 1. So it has changed this thing a text type instead of the number type. If I don't want that step, I just click cancel. It reverts it, right? So now I don't want to work. There's an extra column added to my data set. I don't want to go through the pain of importing the new one and working with it all over again, right? So instead of doing that and start working, let's say I've cleaned this data and I've had up to like 10 steps. So instead of importing another data and starting afresh, you can just come to your source. Just click on the source you're seeing. This place you are seeing colon equals to 13. Click, you add it 14. The moment you go next, you see it has added this extra column. This is it. We are in the second, we are in the first step. So that's why it has not been promoted, right? Everything is still among it. But when you click on the promoted headers, everything has moved up. And everything is still in text type. ABC, ABC, even those that are not text are still in text type. Then when you click on the changed type, everything has taken its own type. Maybe there is one that it's not a text type, or there is one that has taken number and you don't want it to be number. You can always change that. So we are going through everything. I see this one is full numbers 1, 2, 3. There's decimals. Decimals is 1.2, where you have to see decimal number 1.2. If it's in percentage, you put it in percentage. If it's a binary, that's true, of course. You leave it as, if it's a boolean, you leave it as a boolean. If it's a binary 0, 1, you leave it as your binary. So we are getting there. We are checking everything, all good. Okay, now I don't like this. I don't like that extra that I put there. I can always remove it, right? So I'll just right click and I'll remove. So it has added it as an extra step, removed column. So another thing we can do to this data set, we are seeing that this data set has an index. So this is like an index, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I do not need, right? It's not needed. So I can just remove this index column. Now, these things we are seeing in this upper part, there are times you won't see. If you don't set it, you won't see it. They are called the column profiles. Which this thing can just stay down now. They are called the column profiles. It helps you to identify the makeup of each column. Now I'm seeing this is like the distribution of this column. I'm seeing valid. It's 100% valid. No empty row. There is no error. None is displaying error, right? Now it's showing 996 DIN state, 99 unique. This is like a hack for you to know if it's a column that you are expecting to be unique. When you say something is unique, it means that it's not replicated, right? It's just one. It's appearing only once. Then when it is distinct, when something is distinct, it means that if you count everything here, you are getting 996, right? There are 996 different, there are 996, there are 996 different rows here, right? Then inside that 996, 992 is unique. Let's just say that, yes, inside that 992 is not reoccurring. Now, if this is a column that you are expecting to, if this is a column that you are expecting to be unique, let's say a column you are using for, remember your primary keys and your foreign keys in SQL. If the column you want to use as your primary key, you know, one of the rules for primary key, if you're doing one-to-many connection, you remember what's the rule for your one-to-many connection? Can someone just answer in the chat box? When you're using a one-to-many connection, what do you expect from your primary key? Are you guys following? I'm waiting for your response, because we did SQL before Power BI. If you're trying to link two tables and you want to have a primary key, you obviously have a primary key and a foreign key. Okay, that's right. Sima, thank you. The primary keys are unique. They do not reoccur. So if you have a column that you want to use as your primary key, it should be unique. So now we are seeing that this column, it has 992 unique entries and 996 distinct. It means out of 996 entries here, 992 is unique. It means that there are 996. How am I even putting? There are 996 different, yes, because distinct means different, right? So there are 996 different entries here. But inside that 996 different entries, is only 992 that is 992 that is reoccurring once. So it means that inside this data set, there is 4. 4 is possibly duplicated. There are 4 that is, you have duplicates here. You know, I told you that I messed with the data, so I will get to find out something. Now, this is the ID. This ID has 834 distinct entries. Then inside the distinct entries, only 701 are unique. You know, one of our mindset that we keep is that the ID columns, by default, a lot of people will see the ID columns and they will feel that, oh, that's their primary key. IDs are not always your primary key, right? There are times your ID columns are not unique. This data set is one of it. So I'll just, that's what I'm just trying to point out. Then we are seeing names, right? Inside these names, there are 996 distinct names. But that 996 distinct names, 992 are unique. You see that this is recurring, is doing the same as this image URL. And we see the name, the type 1. Just have to push this up. Just go. Thank you. So this is type 1 and this is type 2. Total is a number, so this one works. So we want to remove duplicates from this data set. So we'll just come here, right click. You see a lot of options, which we'll still explore. Everything here, we'll explore everything here. We are seeing add custom column, go down to remove duplicates. Remove duplicates. So the moment I click remove duplicates, it does the removal, everything is gone. So now we have 1,000 distinct, 1,000 unique. So it means there are 1,000. One thing that Power Query does for you is that what it gives you is the first 1,000 rows. So this column profile that you're seeing is based on the first 1,000 rows that it's seeing. It's possible that there are other duplicates down in this data set. But everything you are working on here reflects on the other ones. But it's just so that you know that my internet is unstable. Can you guys hear me clearly?
It's breaking at some point.
Is it clear now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what this profile gives you is based on the first 1,000 rows. So the subsequent rows might not be distinct, they might not be unique, Or this just gives you a snapshot of the first 1,000 rows you're dealing with. Now, for the ID section, it is not unique. So the unique column we are working with here is this image URL and the names. Right now, we are seeing that there are some values that are not in this data set. Look at this one, that the type 2 that has valid 53% are valid. There is no error. Error is when there is an entry that it's not concurring. Maybe this is it. I put. Let me show you error. Let me make this a whole number, because it's supposed to be a whole number, but what's there is a text. So you are seeing that there are 53% error here because it's not. But when you convert it back to ABC, the errors will appear. So there is no error in this column. I've removed it back. Now we are looking at the total, the HP. HP means hit points, the attack, defense, special attack, and others. We are good to go. Now this column, there, when you're dealing with missing values as a data analyst, it doesn't always mean that they are not entries, right? It's not every time you see missing values you want to delete it. You'd want to make research. So when I was working on this data set, I made research and I found out that those that does not exist does not mean that there is a missing value. These are Pokemons, right? I am working on the Pokemon data set. So these are Pokemons, right? So they have primary type and they have secondary type. So the primary type is type 1. So the secondary type is type 2. Now, for those that have primary type is a must. So that's why this column is filled. Now, for secondary type is optional. It's not all of them that has a secondary type. So we have to fill in these blank rows. It's not okay for it to be blank. So we are not deleting it, because if you want to delete it, it means you are deleting 47% of your data set, because you can see that 47% is empty. So we have to fill it in. So those are the things that we do in this data set. Now we are talking about keep rows, remove columns. We've worked on remove columns. The one that I selected, right clicked, and we remove. That's how you remove column. Now, if you want to remove other columns, let's say I select this first one, this first three. This is the only column I want. So I want to remove all other columns. I will right click, remove other column. It will just delete everything and leave just this first you want to, and they are much. Just select the ones you need and discard every other one. So I'm just going to remove this step, bring them back. Then if it's these ones that I want to remove, you can just click on remove column. It removes it and you are left with the ones you need. These options, I'm getting them from right clicking, right, in this table path. So we've worked on use first row as headers. We've worked on okay, during selection. Okay. We've worked on remove duplicates. Removing errors. When you have errors, if you click on remove errors, it will remove the errors in the rows for you. So let's work with replace values. For the column that is empty, replace values. Let's see if it works here. Value to find, nothing. Replace with what? Let's say none, since it doesn't have a secondary type, and you click OK. So you see, anywhere that is blank, it replaces it with none. Now you have 100% valid entries in this column. We've settled this one, and we are okay. Now, another thing we would work on, we've talked on replace values. Okay. We want to add columns. I'll just come to add column. There are different ways you add column. You add columns from example, you add custom column, you invoke custom function, conditional column. There are different scenarios where you use each one, right? So I'll start from column from example. Let's say these ones. I'm seeing that these data sets, I have Irisal, I have Venuso, I have Venuso, Mega Venuso. Different is repeating itself. So I want to extract only the first name. Let's say I want to extract only the first names here. Instead of using split column, right? So I can right click and be like, add column from example. So this selection that I've made, right? So that's brought it close to me because that's the one I selected. So I want just the first name. Bobaso. So the second one, so you keep writing until it writes the full names, like you want it repeated. But when you get to the one that has two names, let's just move to Venezuela and write just, you see. So what it does here is it comes it writes a function for you. It say text dot before delimiter. So it's taking the first word before the delimiter. Let's say it's the first two that I want. Maybe I come here and I write Venuso Mega. Take the first two. So now I see that you see these ones that are faint. You're now seeing that it took the base name for all of them. So this one that is Pijo, Mega Pijo, it only took Pijo. If this is what I want, I'll just click on OK. So I have another column that is just the base names alone. So this one called it text before delimit. Can always change the name. I right click, I'll double click, and I'll be like base name. Let's call it base name. And I enter. So I've gotten an extra column. That's for column from examples. Now invoke custom column. We're seeing that it's a good thing to know that the total column is an addition of this other one. So this total, if you add this hit point plus attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed, you get the total. So let's try that to confirm if that's what's happening. So we write a custom column. So I'll call it total. I'll say total cow because we are trying to calculate column. So the custom column formula, it has written equals to for you. So you have your available columns here. Let's say it's year that I want to insert. I don't need to select any file. If it's year that I want to insert, I can just do 2019. So it has clicked yes, no syntax error has been detected. So if I click OK, I'll have a full column that is assigned to years 2019. But this is not what I want to do. I want to sum up the other one. So I call it so what is the formula for this? So I'll take hit points, insert it, plus I'll take attack, insert it, plus I'll take defense. I just selected everything at once, insert everything, now insert. So I have to insert one after the other. Defense, special attack, special defense, then speed. So I'll just have to come here and put in, or you can sum it up. It's all the same thing. So now I have the 6 of them, right? So when I click on OK, it's showing error because of the data type. It's confused. Is it ABC or is it 1, 2, 3? So I can just come here and click 1, 2, 3. It's showing error. Let's check what the problem is. There a place we didn't put added custom HP plus attack. Defense plus speed. So we cannot apply operator plus to types, number, and text. Is there a type that is a oh, speed is a text? You see where the problem is coming from? Are you guys following at all? Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
you.
We can hear you.
I hear you.
Okay, so I just clicked on this error and I saw what happened. It said we cannot apply operator plus to types, number, and text. So I had to come and check, is there any of these things that I did that is a text format? So I just saw that the speed is a text format. So I just have to come here, change it to whole number. I mean, added custom. So it's asking if I should insert it. Can just come back here and insert it here instead of changing the order. So the moment I insert it, change order, the disaster, because it's following each other. Transformed, okay. Let me change it before the added custom. So you see, it has reflected. I added the step in between. I added it before the added custom. That's the custom table. So you see, I have this 318. Let me move it closer to the total we are supposed to have. If you want to move any column closer, you just click and drag it. So this is total calculated, and this is the total that we have. You see that it's the same. Now this format is ABC and 1, 2, 3. I just want it to be to be whole number. So you see that they are the same. The total column is a sum of the other columns. I'll just remove it. Remove the added element. Okay. Talks about this invoke function is if you have a query to write, if you already have a function that you want to invoke, it's not from the ones you already have. That's when you use this invoke custom function. If the function you are trying to invoke is not something that is not something you want to act on the present table that you are working in. It's like a query, right? So conditional column. Okay, let's work on this one. This data set. Okay. Let me find a column. I'll use the custom column. Okay. Let me write. I want to write a function such that if the flying type is if the type 1 is grass, then it will be 1. Then if it is fire, it will be 2. If it is water, it will be 4. Then if it's bug, it will be 3. That order. 1, 2, 4, 3. So I just talked about grass, fire, water, and bug. Giving it 1, 4, and 3. I intentionally changed the order of that one. So I'll just come to conditional column. So what's the name? Let's just call it condition. if the column name I'm working on type is equals grass, I'll put it in strings because it's a text type, it is text type. Or I can just enter it. Gives error, correct. Then grass is 1. So add clause. I want them. I have more. If it's just 2, you have if and else. So if you put 1 here, let's say else is 0. So it's more like giving grass 1, others 0. So let's try this one first. So you see, let's bring it closer. So now this is it. Grass is 1. Every other one is 0. Wherever it sees grass, it gives this 1. This is 1, 1, 1 because it's grass. Now, let me increase the condition. Let's call it condition as well. You can always change the condition from the formula bar, but I'm always coming back to this. So if this is grass, then 1, then I'll add a clause. Else, if it's more like you're writing Python clause. It's more like you're writing if else in Python. So if it's grass, then 1. Second one is else type 1 equals to fire. Then we'll call it 2. We'll add plus. If the same type 1, we're working on the same column, is equal to, there is other option, does not equal, begins with. These are when you have numbers or you have range. You can use this. Then else if it is water, we call it 4, like I said. Then type 1 is bug, and 3. There is always the else. That's the last loop. You're right. It's like you're writing a loop. So if there are not these 4 options, just return 0. So click OK. So I'll bring it closer so you see what we have in mind and what we wrote, if that's what we have. So this is type 1, this is the condition. So grass has 1, fire has 2, water has 4, then bug has 3. Just like I said, index column is if you want to add an index column, we just removed 1. Maybe you want to number your data from 1 to 0, or you want to start from 0, or you have a custom. Maybe you want to start numbering it from 5. That's why you use this custom. I just removed it. There's another thing that is very important that we want us to use. I'll remove this base name. There's what we call long data, and there's what we call wide data and long data. Yes. When you're talking about wide data, you're talking about data that has more columns. You're talking about long data, you're talking about data that has less column, more rows. So as a data analyst, it's best working with, not just data analysts, people that work with data. It helps you to, I see people complaining about data hanging, your Power BI hanging. For some reasons, if it's hanging, it's because you've not optimized your data set. There are some things you can run away from, but if you don't do that, you keep working with you keep stressing yourself, right? If you have a means of reducing the number of columns you're working with, that is an advice that I always give people to follow. Now look at this data set. We have names type 1, type 2, total, hit points, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed. What if I put all these things in one column? What if I put this speed, defense, special attack, all these things, I put this in one column and I give everything a value. Let's say for Bulbasaur, where it is where the hit point is, for you see the everything will now be in one column. So that's where there's something we call pivot and on-pivot data. So when you on pivot data, you're converting the columns to rows, right? The pivot is like inverse of it. So I want to select everything here except from those ones. I'll select total and so I'll just right click and you see on pivot other columns, right? So I just clicked on it. What did it do? It just basically converted six columns I had. It just changed it, just suppressed everything. So it puts all those hit points, attack, defense, this is under one. It called it the attribute. Then these are the values. So now you come from here to here. We give you this term for, so that is how it stands. So I'll just go ahead and rename this one. I'll call it the battle metric because just like the metric they use, right? And this is the value for the battle metric, right? They have the point. One other thing this helps you to do is if you're working with the data set, you have more option of using this as a slicer. You can filter by battle metric. You select for hit points, which one has the higher hit points. In a wide format, you may not have the option to be able to filter or convert it within slicer. Are you guys following, please? Did you get that? Did you get the concept of the long and the wide data? Can anyone hear me?
Okay, I didn't get this last part that you.
Yeah. I didn't get your last statement.
The pivoting columns.
Yes, on pivot table.
Okay, so what you want to do is you select other tables. If you want to pivot, let me take that thing. So this is pivoted other columns. I used there are two ways you go around it. Is either you select the columns that it's not affecting, which I did. I selected this one, then I right click and I did pivot other columns. Either you go that route or you select the ones you want to pivot, the ones that are the problems. So what I want to do is I want to collate all these things, these columns you are seeing. I want to suppress them under a column. I want a single column to have hit points, attack, defense, and so. And a single column will now have their values. So for the first one I have, for this Bulbasaur, which is the first one I have, it will now have for Bulbasaur, hit points, attack, defense, and all those things. Yeah, I have 12 columns in this data set, right? So my goal is to reduce the number of columns I have here. So I've selected these ones that are the problem. You know, I told you there are two ways you go about it. Is either you select the ones that are not the problem, then you click on pivot other tables. Now I'm going the direct route. So I want to select the one that is a problem and I'll unpivot it. So you see on pivot columns. So I click on pivot columns and it has unpivoted it for me. So I don't have hit points, attack, defense as a column again. I have all of them suppressed in one column, then all their values. The impact of this now is that the Bulbasaur will now be repeating itself. It's no longer unique, right? You know, before we had 1,000 distinct, 1,000 unique, but now it's no longer unique. This one now it's now repeating itself 6 times because of these metrics that we have increased, that we have unpivoted. So the only thing that is different in this table now is this hit points, attack, defense, because I unpivoted this table. This is so that when you are building your dashboard, you get to have something to filter with. Maybe I want to filter by their battle metrics to know how they are performing by each metric. If I don't unpivot, I won't be able to have access to that. I won't be able to be flexing that muscle, right? I hope you get it now.
Yes, thank you. I've gotten it.
So we've done that. What else is remaining here? Then this we've removed keep top rows, keep bottom rows. I probably should talk about this because the data set I'm gonna give it to you, have to use it. So we've talked about deleting columns, we've not talked about deleting rows. So I want to delete the first 6 rows. Let's say the first 5 rows. I want to delete 1, 2, so I don't have to see this 318. I want to delete the whole entries. So I'll come to this home. You are seeing remove rows. Sorry that this thing is covering it. This is remove rows. So I click on remove top rows. You ask me how many do I want to remove? Number of rows. I want to remove 6 rows from the top. I click OK. It has deleted 6 rows. You see the 318 that was there, it's gone. If we want to delete from the bottom too, we can always also remove bottom rows. It will ask you the number of rows you want to remove. You insert it. Remove duplicates is still here too. So this is the column we've been using. Remove columns, remove other columns. This is it. Then we have use first row as header. We've used this function. And replace values, we've used this also. So this split column works like, if you work in Excel very well, you know that split by delimiter is there. It's the same thing we did with this add column. When you do column, for example, you know, I told you it's more like you are trying to use a different way instead of using splitting. So let's say I want to split this names column. So I'll split column, split by delimiter. Once the delimiter is a space, it has detected it automatically. The delimiter in this is a space. Unlike this, this one of the URL, it has a lot of delimiters. It has the slash, it has the period, which is the dot. So this one I want to delete, split by space. Each occurrences, it will split. You have 3 splits of this. But if I use leftmost delimiter, it is splitting by the first one. If I use rightmost delimiter, it is splitting by the one in the right. There is no, I'll just click on OK. So you see it has splitted this. So I have Venusaur, Mega Venusaur. So this like gave us that base. You remember the base that we did in the beginning. This is like the same thing. So we can remove this and we can split column by delimiter again. Let's split by rightmost delimiter. You see, it removes just the first. It removes the one by the right. We want to split it by the left. It does the same thing. Leftmost delimiter. See, you have just this first one. Then you are left with the ones that have 2 or 3 periods to their space to their weights. So we remove this, remove top rows. We are bringing it back. Still leave the on pivots. Then merge query. It works like your SQL too. When you are trying to merge tables. Merging tables is one thing. Appending. If you want to if you are merging, you are adding extra columns. That's your merging. Then if you are appending, you are adding under it.
Please, can I ask a question?
Okay, go on.
Okay, the first question is based on deleting rows. On what condition would you want to delete columns or rows? And then the second is when you were splitting the column, I saw that some cells were empty. So how do you handle that? Maybe if you're given a data
Yeah.
set, you split rows and some cells becomes empty. How are you going to handle that?
I'll start with the second question. When we started, there's a row there's a column that had empty values, right? So I said that you don't just discard empty values. So it's either means something or you try and fill it up. You make your research before you fill in that. Then now when we splitted this, obviously when we splitted this by delimiters, this one does not have a second name, right? So this one just have one name, Bulbasaur, Ivysaur. Then this one that has Venusaur, Mega Venusaur. It's this particular data set that we are working with. You do not necessarily, I might be breaking because I'm seeing that my internet connection is not stable. What's the reason for doing on pivot table, please? Yes, and I hope I've been able to answer the question for the on pivot because I took it twice.
Yes.
Okay. So for when you are splitting the table, I just use this one as an example, right? Okay, so let's try and split it again. So we'll see what's happening. We are splitting by delimiter space. Let's use each occurrences. So we are seeing that we have null for the places that it doesn't exist. This becomes a problem because you have missing values here. The reason is that I just used that as an example to show you that you can split columns like that. When you are splitting, possibly trying to use split column by delimiter, everything should be there. You know your target. Probably I wanted to split because I want just this first one. This one that is been given name 1. It's the one that is full. That's my target. I'll just rename it and I'll delete this other 2. I just wanted to separate this other 2 from it. So, but if there is a target you have, maybe you want to get the name without this one that is okay. You are seeing Venusaur, Mega Venusaur. This one that is Venusaur, Mega Venusaur. You see that it's a problem, and what I want is just Mega Venusaur. You can use the other way, using adding column from selection. Then you add the names. When you do column from example from selection, this is where you use this format. Then I'll come here, I'll write Mega Venusaur. It saves me the stress of having some leftovers. So this place now, I'll put that has 3 names. I'm just trying to get it to it's working like AI. So I want it to like see now it has I'm seeing that every other one is looking perfect, like the way I want it. I can just click OK. So instead of using that split column, I always try and use column by example to save myself the stress of deleting, extracted the ones I needed from that particular column. So it's not every time you split column that you get to use everything you splitted. You splitting, you have an interest, and that's what you just want to get and shift every other thing aside. I don't know if that answered you. That's the second question, right?
Yeah, it does, but it still arose
Now, for
another.
your first question, you talk about, okay, what other question did they add to it?
Yes, using that adding column when you have a big
Mm-hmm.
data set, would it not be very difficult to maybe add column names for the whole for a big data set when you have like 1,000 rows?
If you have 1,000 rows, I've worked, the data sets I've worked with, this thing has always, this one that I just did, it has 1,000 rows. So when you do it, and it has shown you the example from the ones you are seeing, that, oh, this one, it only took Megaven. But the ones that have only one, it's like AI is using AI to summarize it for you. The ones that have only one name, it's got the name. But these ones that have two names, it's trying to discard the ones that are reoccurring. Yes, to be very honest with you, when I work with these data sets, it's not perfect. This adding column from example, that selection, it wasn't perfect. I had to fish out some. There are some ones that have some special characters, like this one. This special character, it needed to be removed, because the reason is because I wanted to do something extra, right? Because these names was what were used to get this image URL, and I was trying to get the image to be on the dashboard. So the images they left for me here are icons. They were very tiny that it wasn't visible. So I had to look for the Pokemon database. I had to look for their database to link it to this thing that I have. So this image URL I have, it was looking like the URL of that database. It's just that the img dot something in between here is column from example. I used the column from example. I wrote HTTPS. Then here I wrote the website that I wanted it from. I wanted that it's written in. So what it now did is it's replicated everything. It just extracted the beginning, extracted the end, then the middle. It replaced it with the new website I did. I clicked enter, and it did the same for all the 1,000 and something data that I have. Let me open it so you get to see. Uh, okay. So while that one is still opening, when that one opens, I'll show you the difference between the image URL and the new one I got. And I use that from example from selection. Now, the second question you asked about deleting rows, where you have to delete rows. You are trying to get me to give you a scope in the assignment that I'm trying to give you. There are some data you get, especially if you scrape data from the website. What you'll be seeing in the first rows does not make sense. You'll be seeing something that you don't need in the first rows. That is where you need to get it out. You'll be seeing something like a summary or something like where it's written. Sometimes you scrape data from the website and it's not looking perfect. Okay, now is the what is changing is this website, pokemondb.net/artwork/large charmander.jpg. I think my network went off at some point. Please, when did you stop hearing? Hello?
We're talking about the Pokemon website.
All right, let me connect. Since I just connected to my MTN. It's not me, Ethel with disgrace. It's clear now, Abby. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it came when I was talking about the Pokemon.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so this is the data set for the Pokemon.
Your screen is not yet up.
We can see
Oh,
your screen.
sorry. Host disabled participant screen sharing. I'm not the co-host again. Oh, Yesterday, can you make me a co-host? You are now the host. Can you see the option to make me a co-host? Yeah, thank you. You can see my screen now, Abby.
Yes.
We need to quickly round up the class. So you are seeing that this column of image is looking like the one of image URL. This is one that is originally on the data set. So the image I had was not what I have. It was looking too small. It's an icon. So you are seeing that flash icon. So the main image is also on the database. But I have to get a large image. I don't want the icons. They were looking too small. So what I just did was to write the PokemonDB.net/ the large one. This is the only thing that changed here. Artwork and large. So what that column from example did was that copied the first part, HTTPS image dot, and copied the name, and it discarded the icon part and replaced it with large. It did the same for every data set. It's for every entry that I have here. So that is what I use that column from example to do. So it won't give you, it's not all perfect, but it will give you in a very short while, it will give you what you need, right? And it gave me, in fact, it gave me what I needed. Sometimes what I just needed to be doing is to add this slash for the very few, the ones that have these special characters. You're seeing the special characters. They were the problem I had, but they weren't much. They were just 8 of them. So I just used it for the. So I'll just close this. We'll go back to where we were. So that's it about the coming from examples. And I've also talked about where you can delete rows. If you see where you delete rows, trust me, you will know. You will know that this thing, I just need to, you will see a data set that in the first 4 rows, there is nothing they are talking about. Everything will be empty. No, no, no. Then it will now come here. They will now add 1 or 2 entries for you. That is not part of the table you are working with. It comes mostly if you are working with if you're scraping data from the web. Maybe you scrape a table from the web, and at the bottom it keeps the total for you. You don't need the total. You take it off. So if you're deleting rows, you either delete from the top, or you have option to delete from the under. So we want to do merge queries. So I'll add the other poke data sets. So we get to merge it. We get to append it. We use it for both merging and appending. So when you are merging the data, it needs a primary key. It needs you to identify the connection, right? Now I want to merge these 2 tables, even though they are the same. So I want to merge it to add an extra column. Maybe there's a column that is in one that is not in one that I want to add. So I will just click here, merge. You can either merge as new or you merge it directly. So if you merge as new, it will create an extra table for you. So I want to merge it directly. So I'll click on merge queries. Now it's showing me the table that I'm on. So I want to merge this table with, if I have like 5 or 6 other tables, everything will come here. So I want to merge it with this scope because they are the only two here. So it will now ask me what kind of join. You know, I told you it works like your SQL join. So what kind of join? You see left outer join, see all from the first matching the second, or you see right outer, all from second matching the first. You see an inner join or anyone. So, but it needs you to select the linking column. So I want to select this one for this and this for this. So it has selected it and said the selection 1194 of the first one is matching 1194 of the second one. So it's a go ahead for me to do the join. So I'll click OK. To join it as a table. So you see, this is the poke table and it's showing you that it's a table. So I will click on this icon here to expand it. I have all the columns here. If it's not, I don't want all of them. I just want one of it. I just want the one of speed. You know, if I click on it, I'll have speed duplicated, right? Because this already have speed. So I'll now click OK. So it will now select only that one that I've selected. The other ones, it has hidden it since that's the only one I want. So you are seeing I have poke.speed. I can always rename it to another name. That's merging for you. Now, what appending does is adding it under. Maybe, let me use an example of you are a salesperson, right? And you get the sales for this year, 2023. And you get the sales for last year, 2022. And you want to do accounting for this year. You want to add what you get for this year to that one. You want to add the entries for this year to the one of last year. That's where you use the append queries. So when you're working with append queries, you must make sure that it is the same number of columns you have in the first one that you have in the second one. And also you make sure that it is the same type, because you can't be merging appending queries where you have speed as ABC to a second one where you have speed as 1, 2, 3. It will be a problem. Now I want to append queries the same way. Either you append as new or you append the other one. So there are 2 tables I want to append. If there are 3 or more, you click 3 or more, but there are 2 I want to append. Tables to append. I have Pokemon is the current one, so I'll click on Pokemon and say okay. It has appended it. It's already on down somewhere. So what this thing gives you is your first 1000 rows. So it still remains somewhere down, right? You won't see it because the detail you are seeing is based on your first 1000 rows. And we have more than 1000 in the first data set already, but it has already appended it. But know that you have duplicate values, right? So if I click on remove duplicates, probably you're just going to scrape it off again because it's duplicates of each other. So that's just it about appending. That's it about appending the data set. So I'll remove duplicates, remove column 1. Which one is column 1 that I added? So is there anything I'm not talking about that I'm not that I have it? Transform, detect type. This is where if your change type did not go, you can select everything at once and you click on detect data type and it changes all the data type for you. You've seen your pivot columns.
Please, can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So I don't know if my question was what you were trying to explain the other time, but I didn't really get the gist. This image, will they always come as this HTTP formats and all, or they could be images?
So the best way to put images in tables is to put it in HTTP is linking it to the website, to the database itself. So this is a web address. So when you click on image URL, it will it either does that or it's linked to your directory, directly in your laptop, but that would be too heavy, right? So it's better it links it to the database that is on the web. If you want to work on the data set, there is a setting where you change it also to an image URL. This thing I'm working with is an image URL. You are trying to remind you are trying to update Power BI that is an image URL so it will work in the back end. It goes to the database in the web. You need to be connected to the internet, of course. It goes to the database, bring it for you. That way it works so that after working on the data set, the best way is that image URL, the HTTP. So that after working on the data set and you put it out for people, it will also be consuming the database that is in the website and not on your local disk, right?
So does that mean sorry about that. Does that mean I can't do a like see like a dummy practice or something that it won't have me going to get it from the web, link it to the web or
You
something? I don't
you're not going to the web to get it. The data set already has the it has the location to the web for you. You don't need to go to web to do anything. Just work on it. If you're connected to the internet, to go and retrieve the image for you from the internet. You get
Okay.
it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So I've talked about replace values, talked about number filters, not equal, greater than. Same if you want to filter from here. Then if you want to sort your data, remove empty one, text filters. Because this is a text, that's why we're having text filters. Then this one will have number filters because it's a number. I'm trying to see if there's talked on remove duplicates, remove error. Yeah. So transform. You have you want to round it if it's decimal places. In decimal places, you want to round it, you want to take the factorial or anything. That's where you have the transform. Then there's something that fill up, fill down. It works like your Excel. I have maybe the value I have here is 1 and other places are empty. I can just use fill up to fill the same thing I have down there. We have option to trim too. Oh, that's for text. So I didn't see it. So for numbers, they have their transform option. Then for text, it has its own transform option. Now, if I want to change all the letters here to lowercase, I'll come to transform lowercase. It changes everything to lowercase. Uppercase, then capitalize each word. If I want to trim it, trimming means there's extra spaces, right? Maybe the one of Boba, so there's like 4 or 5 spaces before they start writing it. The moment I click on trim, it removes all those trailing spaces, even between. If there are trailing spaces in between, it removes that for you. Okay, I'm checking. So I think that's it for our Power Query session. Does anyone have a question? If you lose your column profiles, the ones you're seeing here, you click on view. This column distribution is the charts you are seeing. That's it. Then this column profile is more like an extra This is it. It's like brings out what's in your column. It's giving you a summary of what's in your column. You're seeing there are 1,000 entries in this. The minimum, the maximum is this one is basically doing it in alphabetical orders. So this is for column profile, show white space, column quality is the one that you have for empty or non-empty. So if you open your Power Query and you don't have all those, you need it to get insights of what's happening in your data set. How does it look like? So you can always come here, bring up everything. Does anyone have a question? Is there something you do not understand? Because next week we'll be going to data modeling. You can always type your question if you don't want to ask. Answer this.
Can I ask a question?
You can.
I've tried to work on a data set and was trying to delete a column, but it said that I'm not allowed to do that because I'm not the owner of a data set.
In Power
I don't
BI,
know. No, that was in Excel.
the person added security to the data set. So there are sometimes if you open a data in Excel, you will see editor. You see a prompt on the top that will ask you to edit. If you don't click on that, there is nothing you can work on that data set. There are some Excel that the owners lock, right? Then if you download an Excel sheet, by default, you have to click on edit before you can be able to do anything on the data set. Then if the person locked it, possibly next thing you can do is save as, but there are some that they will lock it in, such as you can't save the data set. So from what you are describing, I'm assuming that you didn't click on the edit set.
Oh, I didn't.
That's probably where the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Does it mean nobody has question? You people understood everything. Okay. I said I was going to give assignment after today's class. So what you will do for me is to scrape data from the website and do the data cleaning. The data you're scraping is Nigeria election, 2015 election. This website, I'll share it. The Wikipedia website, let me share it, the Zoom link. Meeting, where is this? So the 2015 general election, this table specifically, the one that is talking about election by state, this is the table you are scraping. I know I talked about it last week in the class. So you use, I won't even tell you how you get it because I talked about it last week in class. Don't copy and paste. Don't copy the table and put in Excel for me, then put it in Excel and now bring it to Power BI to work on. You access it directly from Power BI. Access the table that is here directly from Power BI. And when you access it, you are going to clean it. You can't see, oh, I don't want to say anything. I want it to be in such a way that I have it, I have the candidate in a column. Are you putting it down? I want to see the columns I want to see is the state, the candidates, and the election statistics. That's the election results. So I want to see election results by state for each candidate in such a way that the candidate name won't be in the columns. I want them to be in one column. Talk about it next week in class after we do the data modeling. Or if you do it, after doing it, you can have it. I won't, because we've not done anything on creating charts in Power BI, I won't say to create a chart of what you did, but you can send a screenshot of what the data looks like. You can send a screenshot to the group when you're done with it. Did you guys get that?
Yes, Sylvia, I have a question, please.
Okay. Okay.
When we should have, do you mean we should have the name of the candidate, like as we have Jonathan and Buhari now, we should have it in one column or each per column, just as it is right now?
Yes, what you have is candidate,
State. Okay.
state. So under candidate, you have Buhari, Jonathan. Then under state, you have the state. So because you might probably be having for Buhari, Abia State, Adamawa State, Akwa Ibom, and so. And for Jonathan, so Buhari in the column for candidates, you might have Buhari repeated in 37 times because of the 37 states.
Okay.
So you have Jonathan in 37 times because of the 37 states. So that in the data sets, then you can talk about what you did or how you did it in the group.
All right. All right, thank you.
No more questions, right? So we can go on with our weekend. Since there's no more questions, see you guys next week and see you in the group with your solution.
Thank you, Sylvia, for teaching us well.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sylvia.
You're welcome.
All right, good night.